Let's have a little chat. So, let's talk about marketing today. Marketing is one of those things that we often, we hear the word or we hear the word advertising and we get like a little flutter in our tummy, right? We think about putting posts in groups, or we think about making posts on our page, or we think about, calling people, and we get a little bit nervous about marketing our services. There's a really good reason for that. I had a fabulous conversation last week with Dave Simon where we were talking about marketing, and we got on a tangent where we were trying to identify what is it about our specific niche, about music teachers, that makes us feel awkward when it comes to marketing our services. So I won't get into this too much, but I will say I think there's something to be said about what we learn as music students and what we learn as educators before we get to become music teachers. And there's this missing element that we aren't taught about how to market ourselves and how to do so effectively and with ease. And so that's what I'm here today to talk about. Marketing doesn't have to feel icky. It doesn't have to feel salesy. And there are specific steps that you can take as a music teacher and a professional so that you can attract ideal clients to your studio. And we're going to be going through 3 of those today, and I think you're really going to like them. So welcome to the broadcast. I see Elizabeth is tuning in from Central New York. So if you're here with me, if you're watching live, or if you're watching later on, please be sure to jump into the comments and let us know where you are from. And how about this? Let us know how you feel about marketing. Hey, Dylan, so good to see you. Dylan's going to be joining us in the branding bootcamp starting in February, and I'm so excited to get to know you and your studio, Dylan. It's going to be fabulous. All right, so if you're new here, I want to say welcome. My name is Sara Campbell, and I am a business marketing and mindset coach who works with music studio owners and online education experts just like yourself. And I go live here every Wednesday at noon Eastern time, except for this week because I wanted to make sure you guys could watch the inauguration. So I'm a little bit late today. I hope that didn't confuse anyone. But we have a great time here on the broadcast, and we love to learn out loud together. So as I'm sharing these tips, I invite you to learn out loud with us. And if you find something on the broadcast that is particularly valuable to you, give us a hashtag takeaway and tell us what value you found. This is also really helpful if you want to get intentional about saying, okay, I learned this thing today and I want to start putting this into practice. So type it out. Send it out into the universe and say, yeah, I'm going to be doing this. Hey, I see Maggie is tuning in from San Diego, and she said she hates marketing. Maggie, you're not alone. And Brenda's tuning in from Colorado. I see there that Katya's here. And Elizabeth says, hey, I do feel like a salesy weirdo at times. Yeah, so we're going to unpack that today. If you have any teacher friends who you know would enjoy this conversation, please be sure to invite them to be with us here today, whether, again, if you're live or if you're watching later on. And to our replay viewers, I just want to say, I come back here all week. So if you are not seeing this live, don't fret. Jump into the comments and pretend that I'm here, because I will jump back and have a conversation with you, because that's how I roll. All right, so the topic of the day is 3 effective marketing practices for your studio. So first, I want to define the difference between marketing and advertising, because I think oftentimes we get these 2 terms confused and we feel like they're one and the same. And so I think it's important to spend a little bit of time just saying, like, here's what this one is and here's what this one is. So when we're talking about marketing, we're not talking about advertising. We're not talking about necessarily selling something to someone, although that can be a component of marketing. Marketing is about branding yourself and telling your story and painting the picture of what it is like inside of your business when somebody joins you. And so that's what we're tapping into today, because we can't have effective advertising if we don't have effective marketing. So if we're not painting that picture and we're not networking and we're not doing the things that we need to do as business owners, when it comes time to, let's say that you had like 5 spots to fill and you haven't really been doing your marketing, it's so much harder then to advertise effectively to fill those spots. And so what we're doing here is we're laying some foundational groundwork so that you can advertise. So marketing always, advertising sometimes, in a nutshell. All right, so let's get to our first tip today. Before I do that, I do want to mention we have a very special thing happening next week. This only happens twice a year. Next week, I am running a masterclass. So every week I go live here providing value to you guys and having cool conversations. Next week, I'm doing a full-blown masterclass. It's going to be an hour long. It's only going to be available for 5 days, and then it disappears. So this masterclass is so important for you to attend. So if you want to get a hold of that masterclass, you're going to drop a masterclass below, and the Savvy Sara bot is going to set you up with an invitation to make sure that you get notified about this event. I know that so many of you have already raised your hand and said, yes, I'm going to be coming. I think there's like 76 people who have signed up on the event. So I want to make sure that you get a hold of this. It will be happening here Wednesday at noon next week. So drop that masterclass below, and the Savvy Sara bot will set you up. She will also send you the show notes from today's broadcast. So, all right, let's get to tip number 1. Okay, here we go. So the first step in establishing a clear marketing plan and a clear marketing strategy is to make sure that we are participating. And this, depending on what type of a studio you have, this participation may look different. So I'm going to address both those who are like brick and mortar and teaching in a specific space, and those of you who have ventured into the online space and are like, I am staying here because online is amazing. Because I think there might be quite a few of you here that are like that. Great, I see lots of master classes dropping below. Keep them coming. That way you'll get notifications for next week. So let's talk about the brick and mortar, right? So that you want to be able to network and participate in your local community. There are so many ways that we can do this. And I think that this is a step that we often skip because it comes back to a couple of reasons that I don't want to like dive into too much today, but many of us feel uncomfortable viewing ourselves as business people, right? We get into the mentality of, and those who know me, you've heard me write about this in blogs, you've heard me talk about it on the broadcast. We get into the mentality of, I am just a piano teacher. I am just a voice teacher. And we sometimes see that label as a just label. I'm giving you permission right now to get rid of that just label. You are not just a music teacher. You are a maker of magic. And what you provide in our world is so incredibly important. And so we need to start first understanding the value that we are bringing into our communities, and to be able to shout loud and proud, I am a piano teacher. Or here's a fun little shift. If anybody wants to make this shift today, put it below. Instead of saying I'm a piano teacher, I'm a guitar teacher, I'm a voice teacher, you're going to say, I own a music studio. How does that feel? Play with those words. Say them out loud right now. I'm a music studio owner. So first, we have to understand our own value, and we have to be able to step into that position as a real business owner. And then this is going to give us the confidence that we need to step out into the community and really talk about what we do. And so when I talk about participating in social groups and forums, I'm not just talking about online social groups, right? I am talking about finding the places in your local community where you can connect with other business owners and talk about what you do. Because that's one of the most powerful ways that we can get a hold of our marketing, our local marketing. Ooh, so good. Brenda, hashtag I own a music studio in all caps. Brenda, I can tell that you're getting ready for Shouty Thursday. So I want you to think right now about your local community. Those of you who are wanting, who have an in-person studio, even if you're online right now, that's me. I want you to think about some of the local groups that you can connect with. So that might look like finding a Rotary Club. It might look like finding Chamber of Commerce groups. It might look like finding other like niched business groups that are in your area. For instance, there's a fantastic women business owners group in my area, and they meet for lunch, I think, like twice a month, and it's a great opportunity to connect with other human beings, to talk about business, and to be able to become well known in your area by other business owners, because those people are really powerful partners. And so we find those places and we participate. And that also might look like other music groups, right? So if you have local music groups that meet, that's a great way to connect with other teachers. And we know, I know it can feel nerve-wracking at first to like connect with other local teachers, because we sometimes view them as like competition. I'm a firm believer that there are enough music students in the world to fill every single music studio. We just need to know how to speak specifically to those clients and to like really niche ourselves so that we are attracting the people that we can help the most. And so connecting with other music teachers can be really powerful, because they may have inquiries that they know are not a perfect fit. And if you've networked with them and you're buddy and you've got lists that you can like send to one another, it's a great way to bring in new clients. Now, let's talk about the online aspect of this. Elizabeth's got a takeaway. Speak your truth. Beautiful. Thank you, Elizabeth. That's great. So I made a post about this. If we have any voice teachers in the house, raise your hand. I made a post about this in the voice teachers community. That's a forum that I have run since 2014, actually, because Facebook reminded me of that last week. And I guess we had an anniversary or something. So I made a post in there about how important it is to be participating in forums where we want to advertise. Because let's just define, before I get to the because, let's define some of the define some of these forums. So it could be, let's say for instance, if you provide services or courses for other music educators, it could be a professional forum that has a promotional day, right? So, a lot of forums like have, what is it? It's the double F on the Young Teachers Forum. I can't remember what it stands for. Freebie Friday or something. Or, you have promotional Saturdays. We've got Promo Monday Rocks over on Voice Teachers Community. If there are any voice teachers that want to join that, put a VTC below and I'll make sure to invite you. And so it could be some of those forums, or if you're trying to attract the people that are not music teachers, as most of you are, then it could look like local community forums. So for instance, in my town, they have like the West Middlesex Announcements forum that I'm a part of. It could be homeschool moms. It could be dance communities, things like that. And in these places, if they are allowing advertising, here's where we run into trouble. I just shook the whole desk there. If you are only showing up in those forums to advertise your services, people will not pay attention to you. And so it is key that we participate in those forums. What does that participation look like? It doesn't have to take a ton of your time. It means setting aside a half an hour each week to visit those forums where you know that clients live and providing value. It can be about sharing a story of something amazing that happened in your studio. It can be answering questions that people have that might deal with what kind of services you offer. It could be going into those forums and using keyword searches to see if anybody has searched for voice lessons or guitar lessons, and being an active part of that community and answering things that don't have to do with music, just so that they begin to understand that you are a real human being and that you're not just there to sell. Because if you're just there to sell, nobody cares. They need to know who you are as a human being before they trust you and they know you and they like you. And so your participation in forums is so important. I see some great comments here. Karen says, I love my music colleagues and our local group. I learned so much there. Oh yeah, Steinway is really good at connecting music teachers. That's a great point, Dylan. Really good. And yes, Katya, in many groups, the advertising is not allowed. And so That's why we talk about marketing, right? Because marketing is not necessarily selling something. It's painting the picture of what it's like to be in your studio, or what it's like to work with you, or talking about what you do, right? And talking about the business side of things. So yeah, join your local Nextdoor community. Okay, so Karen, I hear a lot about Nextdoor. Nextdoor works in a lot of communities. It doesn't work in mine, but if Nextdoor is something that works well in your community, I encourage you to investigate that, because it's something that can be really valuable to you. So that's our first step, right? Participate in your social groups and forums. Make sure that people know you as a human being, and show up and provide value, right? Don't just show up and sell. All right, number two. Practice your storytelling. Now, earlier this week, I posted a quote by Seth Godin, and I think I remember most of it, but in a nutshell, it's this. People do not buy goods and services. They buy relationships, stories, and magic. Those three things, relationships, stories, and magic, that's what marketing is all about. And so if on your website, or on your social media, or in the posts that you're making in forums, all you're doing is selling something, it's not going to work that well. You might get a couple of people, but I think a far more effective practice is to tell stories. And so what does that look like? And if we have any storytellers in the house, those who have learned this process and put this into practice, put storytelling below, because I know that there are quite a few of you here who are listening today who are great storytellers and have done the brave things and are starting to tell your story inside of your business. So storytelling can be simple. It can be complex. So simple ways to tell stories, right? Take a picture. Little practice. Take a picture of your desk before you teach. Maybe it's got some music on it. Maybe it's got a calendar on it. Maybe it's got some coffee on it. Maybe it's got some water on it. And talk about how you're preparing for the day. That gives people a behind the scenes look at everything that you do as a music teacher, not just showing up to lessons, but all the preparation that is involved with being an effective and amazing teacher. So it can be little behind the scenes things. It can be telling a story about a client that you have. So many of you probably have clients that have been with you for many, many years. And if you can tell the story of their transformations, or you can tell the stories of those aha moments that they have, that can be a powerful thing. So I can think of, I have two clients that have been with, actually most of my clients have been with me 5+ years, but I have two clients who have been with me 10 years. And they're both going to be graduating this year. Don't want to think about it too much. But I want to be able to tell their story. So if I wanted to really dig deep into the marketing aspect of this, I would tell the story about how Amelia is applying to college, and how she came to me as this little sprout and a piano student, and she went through this amazing journey as a musician. And actually, I'm kind of quoting some of the things that I wrote in her recommendation letter. She went through this amazing journey as a musician that brought her to want to take voice lessons, and all of the things that she had to do as a voice student, because she came from a background of, she was a ballet dancer. And so she came from this background where she held her body in a way that wasn't conducive to freedom when you're singing. And I could tell the story about how she stuck with it, even though it was hard. And it was difficult for her to unwind patterns that her body had. She stuck with it, and now she just landed a co-lead in Anything Goes. Amazing, right? And so it's these types of stories that are truly effective marketing. To shout out and congratulate the clients that you have, to tell their stories, and to paint that picture of what it's like when people join you. You can also tell your own story. That's a beautifully powerful thing. I don't know if Laura's here today. I've said this multiple times on the broadcast, but one of her most popular posts was where she posted a picture of her and her piano teacher when she was about 14 years old, and they were sitting on a couch together. And she told a little story about how the relationship she had with this teacher and how meaningful it was to her in her young adult life. And now as a teacher, it's even more meaningful looking back on. And Laura, there she is. Laura, I'm telling your story. That post had so many engagements on it. Not because it was her posting and saying, hey, I have openings in my piano studio. It was because she was showing up as a human being and telling her story. So that's another key element of marketing. Who here is ready to start telling their story? Are you ready to start telling your story in your marketing? Put a story below. Put an intention out in the universe and make a promise to yourself that this week you're going to tell a story on your page. You're going to tell a story in a forum. You can even tell a story to your current clients, because some of the best marketing that we do is to our current clients so that we can increase client retention. All right, so that is number two. Let's move on to number 3. Now this one's a little different, but I think it's super important. If you have not looked at your website on your phone recently, it's time. So when people first reach us, they often reach us through their mobile phone, right? Because it's on hand all the time, and that's how they browse social media, that's how they get to your Facebook page, that's how they head on over to your website when they want to learn more about you. And if your site is not mobile friendly, then all of that hard work that you did writing your copy, picking your images gets lost. So we need to make sure that our let me see if I can fix our lighting here today. It's bright and snowy outside, so I'm fighting some backlight today. All right, if we spend all this time putting all this stuff together on our sites, and when they go over to the mobile site, it doesn't scroll well. They can't find the menu. People are impatient. We want instant results. And especially now, since the internet is so fast and there's so much information everywhere, it's important that we make sure that our information is presented in a digestible way. So if your website is not mobile friendly, then it's time to revisit what you can do to make it that way. Now, depending on what type of a website you have, this might be a simple couple clicks of buttons, or it might be a little bit more complex and you may need to call a friend or a web designer. But having that mobile friendly site is going to give you a leg up and really allow you to stand out among the crowd. And that's what we want, right? We want to, when people come over to our website, we want them to go, wow, this is really great. Like, I love all the things that Patricia has said about what she provides. I love all the things that Kathy has shared about her current students. Like, this looks really magical, and I would love my child to be a part of that. And so if your site is not mobile friendly, well, that hard work goes to waste. Who has checked their websites and socials with their phone in the past month? If you have, give us some thumbs up. If you haven't, set your intention that you're going to make that a regular practice. Also, because we know that websites can break when you're not paying attention to them, especially those of us who are WordPress users. Do we have any WordPress users in the house? A widget or a plugin breaks and you're not aware of it and your website looks wonky. It's always disappointing when we find that later on. So we need to make it a standard practice in our admin tasks to make sure that our site looks fresh, that it's easy to navigate, that when people get there, there are clear calls to action, and that they know where to go. Maggie's like, socials, yes. Website, okay. So Maggie, add that to a list. And spend some time browsing through your site on mobile to make sure that it's easy when people come to you, that they know exactly what to do. Elizabeth says thumbs up. Okay, great. So we're going to go back through and recap those in just a second, but I want to jump into the comments for a moment. If anybody has questions about those 3 practices, now is the time to ask them. I see some great intentions going out. Kathy says she's going to tell a story this week. Kathy, when you tell your story, can you tag me? Those of you who are here, I'm getting excited about this because I love to see you guys do your stuff. if you are here and you have set that intention to tell a story this week, I'd love you to tag me. Send it to me in a message, or just like tag me in the post so that I can read it and celebrate it with you. I see Elizabeth is saying story intentions, Patricia saying story, and Karen says, I love telling stories. Excellent. All right. Oh, awesome. Great. Kathy, I can't wait to read it. I'm going to hold you to it, friend. I'm going to hold you to it. Okay. So before we get to the recap here, I want to remind you about what's happening next week, because this is good stuff. So this is a masterclass that I only run twice a year, and it's a limited time masterclass. Unlike these weekly videos, it will not live forever in the playlist on this Facebook page. And so it's important that you get a hold of that next week. It's going to be on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern at our regular time. It's going to be about an hour long. And we are going to be talking about how specifically you can attract awesome students into your music studio, or attract awesome music teachers into your online course. So we're going to break things down next week. If you want to get a hold of that, you're going to drop a masterclass below, and the Savvy Sarah bot will set you up. She's going to send you the show notes from today, and she's going to send you a way that you can sign up for notifications for the masterclass and make sure that you get a hold of that. And remember, it's only going to be available for 5 days. So if you are a replay viewer, you want to make sure that you pencil that in on your calendar so that you don't miss out on the content. All right. Karen says, I have a Facebook business page and I'm on Google, but no website. That is always something that you can visit in the future. And I love that you mentioned that you're on Google, right? Google My Business is awesome. For those of you who are in the Social Media Savvy Studio, I am currently writing and filming the section that is going to be on Google My Business, because I feel like that is a super powerful it's a super powerful tool that not a lot of teachers use, or if we use it, we don't really use it effectively. And so I've been taking courses on Google My Business, and I'm going to be bringing some of that awesome information to you guys inside of the social media course. So that's going to be dropping in February, and it's pretty exciting. So, all right, let's do a recap, shall we? Marketing feels weird. There's no other way around it, because most of us in our education, we did not learn all the business sides of things. We learned how to become great music teachers, but we didn't learn how to become great business owners. And so when it comes to marketing or advertising, we sometimes feel like salesy weirdos, or we feel like a little icky about posting things. And so here are 3 marketing practices in a fast recap here that you can put into your admin times. Write this down on your monthly and weekly to-dos, so that you can start laying the foundational groundwork that you need to run a successful studio. So number 1, participate in your social groups and forums. So if you are, looking for local people, then you're going to find those local groups where you can sign up and participate. It can be Rotary groups, commerce groups, women in business groups, music teacher groups that are in your area. Sign up and participate in those. Networking is key. And if you're looking for online places, then you're going to look for those local forums where you can get to know people, where you can show up as an amazing human being, an amazing teacher, and provide value so that people understand who you are, right? That's number 1. Number 2, practice your storytelling. Marketing and advertising is so much easier when instead of selling something, we tell a story about what we do. So tell your story. Tell the stories of your clients. Tell the stories of what you do in your day when you're preparing to teach. These are the little things that are going to allow people that little glimpse into what it's like to work with you, which is so important when it comes to building know, like, and trust. KLT factor, right? You hear me drop that all the time here. Yes, Maggie, the mom groups. Get in the mom groups and make friends. So practice your storytelling on a regular basis and figure out ways that you can paint that picture so that people understand what it's like to be a part of your magical studio. Finally, make sure that you have a mobile-friendly site. I know when we're making our websites, we're doing this on desktop. And so, we do we hit that preview button all the time, going from the coding to the preview, going from the coding to the preview. But sometimes we forget to hit that magical button that puts us into mobile view. Or all you have to do is pick up your phone and see what it looks like. So we need to make sure that our websites are mobile friendly so that when people get there, they have clear call to actions, all the pictures are showing up correctly, and all the copy looks good. And that it's navigatable. Navigatable. That's a word, I think. So those are your 3 tips for today. If you enjoyed today's broadcast, one of the best things that you can do is give me some thumbs up and some hearts right now. Let us know below that you found this valuable. And if you have a music teacher friend who you think would find this valuable, please be sure to let them know about us. Sprinkle this among your news feed, sprinkle this into your music teacher groups so that they can learn to join us here every Wednesday, because it's free and it's fun and we have a good time together. So let them know about this. That would be amazing, and I would truly appreciate if you did that. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you being here. I really look forward to seeing you next week at the masterclass on January 27th. And I look forward to supporting you in all that is awesome about you. And so I look forward to hanging out with you again. Oh, thank you, Brenda. It's awesome. This is valuable. Thank you, Cheryl. Sorry. And Cheryl's going to be joining us in the branding bootcamp as well. Hey, if we have anybody here who wants to know about branding bootcamp, we are already 1/3 full, and I haven't even released it to the email list yet. So if you were thinking about joining branding bootcamp, that's something that you might want to message me about. All right, there we go. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Sara Campbell. I'm a business marketing and mindset coach for music studio owners and online education experts just like you. And you can find me here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. if there's an inauguration. And so we will see you next week. In the meantime, stay savvy and stay you, because you're an amazing music teacher and there is nobody in the world quite like you. And I think you're pretty dang awesome. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much.